Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to this Sunday evening. It's a mild raining here in Hyderabad, and also Ganesh Visarjan is going on in one of the places here. So please, I apologize in advance if you hear some loudspeakers and all that. Couldn't avoid that. So, anyways, my name is Lavanya Muthurai.
Lavanya will assume that is a drum roll for Arnab.
Yeah, entire, entire
It's from the
Hyderabad
heaven.
is.
From the heaven.
So, so today's event and the book launch is hosted by Hydra. Hydra stands for Hyderabad Readers and Writers. Uh, and this was first founded by Mibu Hussain in 2018. The inaugural session was conducted in September. So the book is the center of the Hydra's mission, and we have seen a lot of book clubs that either has the writers in the group or readers in the group. But we are different in the sense that we have both, and we want to kind of bridge this gap between the readers and writers. Trust Book Lovers community, we also have long-term objectives. One of it is to groom and nurture our readers into subject matters experts or motivational speakers, life coaches, and writers into national best-selling authors. So time and again, we have some discussion panels, and we also help authors to promote their books or to kind of launch or do a book reading session. Uh, Pretty much from when COVID started, it's mostly online events. But before we were meeting regularly every last Sunday of the month, and we are planning to continue that or try to bring that offline mode again. So let's see how it goes. Now, just briefly about Hydra. So today we are launching Mr. Arnab Das Gupta's Volume 2. Priming Year Volume 1 was launched by Hydra 2-3 months back, and now we are so proud, and this is really a moment of pleasure to launch the second part, which is called Inward Insight. So before we launch the book, let's meet our let me briefly introduce about Arnab Das Gupta. So Arnab born in Agartala, a city in northeastern India, and he currently lives in Sydney, Australia, where he fills a role as a senior consultant at an MNC. While Arnab has been in the corporate sector for 17 years, he has changed realms of expertise multiple times, allowing himself to tour the corporate landscape while taking home recognition and awards from operations manager and project lead. Arnab now specializes in network technologies. These are where the seeds of what we see today begin to take. To put his journey in his own words, he says, more than the tools and technologies we build, he is inspired by the people surrounding him. In different places of his work life, he has met people of various nature and backgrounds, helping those people find and achieve their goals, educating the people in need, and solving their day-to-day problems is his call to action. Arnab's big dream is to form or advise a company helping to design systems that help bring employees, management, stakeholders, and company goals together as one. He wants to see the work culture evolve to a place where people would love to go to, and he isn't your typical mindfulness and science doctor. So we'll talk to Arnab more why he is not typical writer in a while. But before we launch his book, let me please invite Mr. Srinivas sir. So Srinivas Talbati, who is also an ex-IAF and flight lieutenant, is a managing director of Bose Software Services Private Limited, with branches in Hyderabad and in Bangalore. He has 24 years of total IT experience, including 80 years in SAP R3 implementations, playing various roles. He has 24 years of total IT experience, including 18 years in SAP implementation, such as SAP Technical Lead, Development Manager, SAP Project Manager, Data Migration Specialist, Interface Specialist, etc. Lead development teams ranging from 30 to 150 people during the implementation of SAP projects over 18 years. So his company was involved with clients including Infosys, Tech Mahindra, NTT Data, Wipro, CenturyLink, IBM, Chevron, Coronite Japan. He worked in India, Japan, Europe, and USA in various roles implementing SAP in 14 MNCs So IntelliGroup Asia Private Limited, IntelliGroup Japan, Satyam USA, and Satyam India. So very warm welcome, Srinivas Garu, and we're very thankful to you. You were already like engaged with one of your personal or some function, but you still managed to come here and encourage Arnab Das ji for his second book. So how are you feeling today? And I would be very happy and pleased if you could share some of your insights with all of us today. Over to you,
Yeah,
sir.
as I can see, the attendance has varied people this time. So Arnab, I've already told last time, he was not just our employee in those days. As I said, he was more like a companion to me. I repeat it. Why I said companion? Because the thoughts are different apart from the work that we do as in individual roles. Outside the roles, we have a lot to share, and we used to do that. And that I can see that he has converted most of it into a volume, a series of volumes, and the name of Priming You. So I was just going through the ebook because I couldn't get my copy. So the points that he touches upon are known to all of us, but we are not mindful about them. We don't actually try to spend time in just converting them what we know into what is useful for us. So I'm actually excited to go through his entire book, but I didn't get time. But I understood that most of his points are very useful to just achieve what we want to by simply following some of the steps he has outlined in his book. Whatever you achieve in life, if you follow these simple steps of getting out of egoism and having confidence, as he said, self esteem, yes, it's right, and self esteem is better than egoism. So, egoism almost blinds uh, that you are right all the time, but you may not be. But if you accept that you are not right all the time and you can accommodate others' opinions and mold yourself or use those thoughts of everybody in a group to achieve, if you are in a corporate ladder, to achieve better output by being more accommodative to others' ideas. Yes, if you think that they are not useful, then you can go ahead with your ideas. But when you are accommodative to others' ideas and listening to opinions, keeping aside your egoism, so that helps in achieving a group output better than as a individualistic, egoistic ideas. So the other part is about your mindfulness. It teaches about how you can achieve mindfulness through various steps. Yes, it's true that some of us must have already experimented, some of at least a few of them. And if we are today here in this group of people attending here while others may be watching cricket or whatever it is, you are already having mindfulness as part of your life. I'm sure if you are attending a book opening and this, and if you are a lover of books, then that itself shows that you are accommodative and you are not egoistic, and you're already half the book yourselves, most of us. So thank you very much, Arnab. It's better that we listen to every one of us here and be more accommodative as your book describes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. So over to Mehboob for playing the video. Let's start this session by first playing the video. And then, Swapnil, once the video is can you please finish with the launch formalities? Or can you start with the
Sure.
launch formalities? I'll just go on mute because there's a lot of voice, so that's why I'm just.
You want me to play the video?
Yes, please.
Yes. And before I do that, a warm welcome to Dr. Maria Stevens. She has joined us from USA. I don't know what the time there is, but uh, good evening, good morning, Dr. Maria. So we just started the session, and Lavanya has asked me to play the video on the book. And let me share my tab and then play it. Okay, are you able to see the video?
Yes.
All right.
We all go through mental health challenges and hardships in life. Do you have a negative attitude? If so, it definitely holds you back from living your best and most full life. The book, Inward Insight, from author Arnab Dasgupta, available on Amazon, enlightens readers with some cutting-edge scientific facts on the subjects of the true self, free will, the mind, and consciousness. Do you have a fixed mindset or a growing mindset? Whichever you are can make a major difference in your life. Although external circumstances have a big effect on how you think about things, like looks and success, the brain is neuroplastic, which means neural networks may develop, alter, and rearrange throughout your life. It is possible to establish new brain connections or mindsets at any age by exposing yourself to fresh experiences and viewpoints. You have a lot of potential in all your mindset. Get the book Inward Insight from author Arnab Dasgupta, available on Amazon, and change your mindset today.
Yeah, just
Thanks for playing it. You may also like that video if you like it. There's a like button.
I am doing right away. That's yeah. No, I am the sixth. Mine is the 16th like. Okay. Back to you, Lavanya.
Now, over to Swapnil. Swapnil, can we have the book watch first?
yes. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So good evening, everyone. I'm going to share my screen now. I have a page, okay, which has all the information. So I hope everybody can see my screen. This is 𝐜𝐸𝐬𝑅.com/blog/inward-insight. I'm going to share this in the chat in some time. Okay, and you can see this is the cover, book cover. And this is the preface from the book. So you can read it at your leisure. And scroll down. The book has appeared in a couple of news websites as well. You can visit that website to see what they have published about the book. Then we also have put the first chapter for us to read online. Okay, so if you click here, it'll take you to a page where you can actually read the content of the book here. So you can see what book is all about. Okay, and here we have even put the content, so you can see the entire content of the book. And then okay, so now the book has been made available on Flipkart, Amazon.in, so for paperback, and on Kindle. You can buy from Kindle as well. And if you like to watch the video again, this is the YouTube video link for the same video. It was played by Lavanya some time back. And this is about Arnav. And there's a interview that we had conducted with Arnav. So you can read about it. You can know more about his writing interest and things like that. Coming back to this page again, this is the volume 1. So those who have missed volume 1, you can go back and look at the volume 1. What is this all about? It is called Stumbling Blocks. Okay, so volume 1 is called Stumbling Blocks. Today is with volume 2, which is called Inward Insight. And today's video will be put up here as well. So once the video is up on YouTube, we'll link this page to that YouTube. And that is it. So I'm going to open the link for Flipkart and Amazon. You can have a look. This is the Flipkart page. Details may not have been updated, but you can still buy. Okay, so it takes about 24 hours for. Yes, I think Flipkart has made it available. So this book is available on Flipkart. You can go ahead and buy, and and it is on Amazon as well. So yes, it's available on Amazon as well. So they have made it available. So yes, so book is available across the world. You can buy, you can read Kindle, and you can read about Arnav and his previous book as well. So that is from me, Lavanya. Over to you. We'll share the link in the chat.
Please share the link in the chat. A big round of applause to Arnav on the launch.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
I'm really, very excited because I think we had a very thoughtful discussion on the first volume, and I'm seriously very happy that we're continuing this journey with you. We feel as we are all part of this priming you.
Yeah.
So very happy and excited. But Arnav, I just wanted to ask you, so when compared to the first volume, which was titled Stumbling Blocks, the second volume is less in terms of chapters and pages.
Right.
So how does Inward Insight take off from volume 1? Do you expand the breadth or go in depth into the topics?
Right. Well, Lavanya, I'll quickly answer this question. First of all, warm welcome to everyone, and thank you very much to everyone who has joined this session. It's fascinating to see that we coin a date and then so many good people turn up in this session. I'm so lucky having you all here, and so thank you very much, Srinivas sir, for again attending this as a chief guest, and thanks everyone. Lavanya, about the volumes 1 and 2, yes, volume 1 had more number of pages than volume 2, but then I can assure you, you will spend more time reading volume 2, because as you said, I've gone more in depth into the matters of the mind and the self. So it's going to be a little time. You'll spend more time, I'll say, spend more time reading volume 2, because it's more of a scientific book than a normal book. So I've laid down a lot of theories. You need to spend some time to understand them. So although the number of pages are less, but it'll be a very good journey if you read from first page to last page, I would say. Volume 1, as you have read or seen in the previous session, Volume 1, I have described all the major challenges that we have in the corporate sphere, and Volume 2 actually discusses the science behind why do we have those challenges, right? And therefore, I point out the main problem is the mind, right? And therefore, I take a journey. I take you all to a journey where you can see an in-depth scientific analysis of what actually is a self, whether or not it exists or not in the first place. What are the main reasons why we cling to it and become, sad about certain things and never grow in life? So, yeah, I've done a lot of analysis in that sort. Yeah, so although the volume 2 has a less number of pages, but I'm sure you would spend more time in volume 2 as compared to volume 1. Yeah.
Okay, agree. Because I read volume 1 actually a little faster. Volume 2, it took some time for me even to grasp that particular topic that I was reading and then go over it and think about it, process it. So I'm sure the readers are also going to have the same experience. And while I was kind of reading, so the theme of identity interested me a lot. In fact, I had written some poems, around this theme before being a poet. Though this might be an adjacent topic to your book, I want to start with it with two questions.
Sure.
So one of the things on identity that you said was all our cells are changing over the time. And if that is the case, then what happens to our identity? Aren't there entirely accidental careers and specializations people choose for themselves distinct from their identity? Like, I'm into writing, but I'm an accountant. There's no connection at all between the two things, are totally opposite, stark opposite. So, how do you relate these things? Could you please share your thoughts on that?
So, so this is my case as well, Lavanya. I like I like human behavior, mostly interested in behavioral science, but I am in corporate. Um, I think it has mostly happened to most of us here. Um, uh, Now, I think there are two questions here, right? Lavanya, the first question was about the identities, is it, or is it about the cells changing, and so is the identity? The thing is, if you look at the science behind cell getting regenerated, it's about, to be specific, it's about 330 billion cells getting replaced daily. Imagine the number of cells getting replaced daily. Now, in a span of 7 to 10 years, you have all your cells replaced. Not just cells, every atom in those cells, go down to the level of your DNA. Every atom in the DNA gets replaced every 7 to 10 years. So 7 years back, I mean, right now you're holding nothing that you held 7 years back. Physically, you have a complete new material. You have a complete new set of material. Although it's nature. Nature tries to maintain a particular format, a shape. It seems like nature is interested in keeping this closed body system as close as possible, right? It's about cells, right? But then even your identity is preserved, right? Even because if you go down to your brain, how the memory is structured, right? That is the result of your identity. The way your brain is structured. I have written about a shadow model in my book, where I show that I place few balls and then project a shadow by projecting some light. I get a shadow on the wall, and you can see by moving those balls, you can see the shadow moving, right? If you move the balls in a particular fashion, the shadow also move in a similar fashion. Your identity pretty much remains the same throughout the course of your life, right? And obviously with different mindfulness practices, you obviously can change a lot of things in your behavior, and a lot of changes in your to the attributes of your behavior. But overall, you as a person remains the same. And I guess your next question is more or less similar to it, that even though we have different identities, we are in a different career, accidental career that you're saying. But we are in an accidental career. I think the main cause of it is, by the time we realize our true potential, we come to an age where we are already doing something, right? Say by the age of 30, you realize that no, I was supposed to be in the field of psychology, but I'm doing farming, isn't it? Completely different field we choose. Why does it happen? Because the early we choose our career, the earlier we come to know about our true potentials or our true skills, is better to identify, our line of career, right? I guess it has to do with a lot of counseling. Maybe at the time, in our times, a lot of guidance was lacking. I can speak for myself. I wanted to. I never wanted to. I never knew what I wanted to become at that age. My father thought, you go and study, get an engineering degree, and you will probably, he made sure that I have a secured future. which I have. I mean, I can thank my father for that. I do work in the corporate, sphere, and then I have a good job, stable job, you can say, or touch wood, stable job. Recession is coming. Um, I have a stable job, good income, but at the end of the day, I always feel that some sort of gap is still there, right? But then I also want to emphasize the moment you come to know your true skills or your hobbies that you want to bring forward in your life and want to do something about it, you always have the chance to club it up with what you're doing at this moment. I mean, you don't need to leave your job. You can be in the same job, and you can still cultivate your passion or your potential, your true potential that you have just realized, and you can mix and match with your current profession, which I'm doing right now. I'm in the corporate sphere, and what I'm doing is corporate psychology. My interest in psychology, there is a subject called corporate psychology. I can very well get into it, and I am in it as we speak. Right? I've started doing some course as well. I can talk about it later. But the thing I'm saying is, they say that you're never too late, isn't it? But I will say you're also never too. You're also not in the wrong place either. They talk about time, right? You're never too late. But I'll also talk about the space. You're never too. You're never wrong. You're never in the wrong place either, right? Because right now I'm in corporate, I can still fuse it with my skills, with my different skills. Yeah. I answered your question, Lavanya.
Yes, and very true. I mean, none of us, I think, it is for our generation, because Srinivas Garu will also agree to that. Our parents shaped our career. Especially in South, it's either you become an engineer or you become a doctor. That's it. They don't know anything else. And when I say
all over India, not just South, all over.
okay.
If you're not a doctor or an engineer, you're nobody.
Yeah. Times are changing now, and good that. I mean, I think this is a really different book in terms of where you are kind of mapping identity and career. How, like, sometimes knowing your identity to the fullest extent would definitely help in your career shaping or to do better what you have been doing. So, I mean, for me, it was like very enlightening when I read that.
Just one more thing, Lavanya, before you move on. I just want to highlight here. If you have realized that you have a certain identity, I have also laid it down in the book as A, B, C, D, E type of identities. If you have realized your identity, if you know which type of identity you are, what type of identity you have, don't try to change it. Because every one of us are unique. Even though you try to change your identity, it will not happen. It's all about realizing and finding yourself. The moment you found it, the moment you have found yourself, play with it. Don't change yourself. Yeah.
Well said. And that brings me to my next question. So you have talked a lot about the self in the book. I mean, like identity, self, mindfulness, consciousness. And then suddenly you drop a bomb. You say self is an illusion. And that is where I'm still having, hard time to process. And I thought this will be one of the questions that I'll definitely ask Arna in the event. Why do you call self as an illusion? I mean, just like before that, you were saying so much about identity. And I mean, that's a really difficult topic to grab. So could you please shed some light on that?
Sure. See, this book is entirely about the self. Right. The central theme of this book is self. As you said, I talked a lot about I spent a lot of time categorizing self, giving you insights about the self. And at the end of it, I say it's an illusion. So let me clarify here. Let's categorize self broadly into three main categories. Number one, let's say you have your physiological self, your biological self, right? The one that we just discussed here, all your cells getting replaced every 7 to 10 years, and the nature is trying to maintain a particular format or a shape. You do have your body. I mean, I'm not saying that body is not present. That's not an illusion. You very much do have a body. I also have a body. Physically, this self is not an illusion. That's not what I'm talking about. The second category is your social self. Social self is also there. I mean, it's not an illusion either. But it's more of your thing. It's not you. It's like, what is a social self? Social self is like the identity that you have, your name, for instance, your religion, maybe your country, your ethnicity, and all that, right? You can say that's it's my name, it's my country, but it's not me, isn't it? It's like a tag given to you for your recognition in the society, right? Your identification in the society. The third type of self, which I'm more interested in, it's a psychological self. That is where I want to, kind of deconstruct that and show you this doesn't really exist. The way you think about yourself doesn't really exist. I mean, what you call yourself as I, right? The ego, it sits right in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. Put anesthesia, you can turn on and off, you can play with it, right? You can have your psychological self dissolve into the outside environment, and you can have a state of non-duality. But this is out of scope of the book. But I'm saying, why is this psychological self an illusion? I'll give you a quick example, just a very layman example. Say you are sitting in a theater, right? Obviously the theater is dark and you're watching your favorite movie, right? Your favorite characters are there in the movie, and you're so involved in the movie that temporarily you lose sense of your own self, right? You feel that you're no longer here, you're inside the movie. Maybe you're playing one of the characters. All of a sudden something happened to the screen, lights are on in the theater. All of a sudden you see the sense of the self has returned back. You can see people are looking at you, and you're looking at all the people. Suddenly you're seeing that someone is looking at you. You feel like you're being looked at, as if you're looking at those people from behind your eyes or behind your forehead, as if you sit behind your forehead, right? As if you live there. All of a sudden this sense has come. A moment ago, when you're lost in a movie, this particular sense of self was not there. So all of the time when we move around, we actually keep on losing and gaining that self. So as a matter of fact, this self is a product of your thought, right? Self really is a thought. It's not real. It's the way you think about yourself. It's just a thought. Now, why I want to show this to everyone, that this is a thought, this is not real, because we tend to cling to it. You had a bad memory, bad past maybe, right? And you're so engrossed in it that you want to cling to it. You never want to give it up, right? Never want to move on. Whatever happened to you in the childhood, you rather find satisfaction clinging to it, and therefore you suffer all your life, right? If you deconstruct and conceptualize self and you see there is nothing to be found, you basically try to move on. So that's the whole purpose of calling it an illusion, Lavanya.
Got it. Very nicely explained. So next of us today we have Dr. Maria Stevens, who has a degree in psychology.
Wow.
Let's try to pull her in this discussion and hear a few thoughts from her. Dr. Maria Stevens.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit confusing. Sorry, I was late. We have time changes here in California, so I thought I still have an hour. And then I realized, oops. Anyway, I'm here. It's quite interesting. Congratulations, by the way, for the book. I kind of feel bad because I'm here and The discussion is very, very, very interesting, very insightful. And I wish I have read the book before I show up. So we're talking about the psychology. What would you like me to elaborate here? Because I think Mr. Gupta there already have done a great job in explaining his thesis. So what would you like me to add, if anything at all?
You already said that the discussion is interesting, and Arnab was talking about the self as an illusion. So do you agree with what Arnab says?
Disturbance in the background. I think Madhu, if you can turn on off your mute. Go to mute, I guess.
Thank you, Madhu.
Okay. So when we're looking at the psychology, I always think about the human behavior, right? And human behavior, we behave because we start by thinking. We think certain things and we behave certain ways. And of course, our thinking is influenced by our experiences. So we shape all this thing into this, what Mr. Gupta said, the identity, who we are, what we think we are. And we go by that identity and create certain quote unquote reality, right? In our minds, we have this reality. And here, sometimes we always said, what you think, how you feel. Your feelings are not facts. But feeling is extremely, extremely powerful. If you feel stupid, you will not do certain things, even though they're not facts. And so what we are having when we make a decision to change or to go into certain place where we want to be, we fight with that feelings. I work with a lot of executives who are very, very successful in one area, like a career, and extremely, extremely pitiful in other areas, like the love lives. Usually, most of my clients are female. So I have two practices. One practice dealing with international students, and the other practice dealing with executives. And if you hear my accents, I'm not, even though I'm an American, I'm actually from Indonesia. So in both areas of these practices, my job is literally to question their feelings, because this is like the backbones of our decision making. So until they understand that they can change the feelings is like the winds, whatever comes and hit, and then it disappears. I mean, we can feel, I don't know, I'm sure some of you have experienced grief. Grief, for instance, it doesn't stay still for certain period of time. At some point disappear, and then all it takes is the wind blow a certain way, and then you start crying. And then you back into that quote unquote reality. And I think when we're looking at the executive decisions in the workplace, now we have to work with all the players, right? We have the structures of the organizations. We have the feelings that we have the relationships we have with our colleagues, and all these things play along. Now, if we want to shift and to change certain ways, I actually respect your thesis and your statements in that you don't need to change. because you can elaborate, you can expand. But I think the expansion itself is changing, is change.
Correct.
But I think if I could elaborate, it's what you don't want to is to change the core of you.
Core.
Right. And then and at some point you will change. I think humans are by nature changing. We're changing. The only thing that constant in our lives is change. We get older, we get, wiser, or we get crazier, or depending, but if you don't go up, it's always go down. So we go either go up north or down south. If we getting better at certain thing or getting worse at certain thing, or both, depending on what are we talking about. Like I said, some executives are making an amazing decision in business, and then making horrible decision in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's comes from different core, but having two different base of feelings. So what I really appreciate from your book is, or at least that from your presentation, is the idea that no, hang on to who you are. Now, find something that edifies you, that makes you feel like you belong here in this world, doing something that God supposedly sent you here so that you can have that sense of fulfillment. And when you do that, you are changing into the positive directions. You become more fulfilled. You become, in America, people in here are very, very obsessed with happiness, right? You become happy. But again, happiness is feelings. You can happy in 1 second, and the next second you get whatever feelings, because it comes and goes. So the sense of the illusion is the fact that you cannot grasp to it. It only real when it's when you're holding on to it until the next feelings, until the next you. But the troubling facts about this is that we are making a lot of our decisions based on that. And as a psychologist, we keep saying, don't do that.
Right. So thank you, Dr. Maria, for your excellent insights. I think what Dr. Maria is trying, I think it's a mere extension of what Arnab, you were saying, but in a different way, that feelings have been incorporated in this theory itself. So thank you, Dr. Maria, for your wonderful...
You're welcome.
Thanks for expanding that. Just one line I just want to add here.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Maria. So, as you said, I mean, don't hang to any of your feelings. I mean, as you said, feelings come and go, right? It can be a happy feeling, a sad feeling. You can feel terrible one day. The next moment you're feeling something else. It's constantly changing all the time. But we actually get identified or cling to those feelings too easily, right? What I'm saying is you can actually separate yourself from those feelings, and you can probably just witness what is happening with you. Rather than getting involved into your feelings, you can simply separate and get the cinematic view of what you are. Once you start to witness your consciousness, you basically see what the drama is happening. Instead of getting a role on the drama, just see the drama. Be the audience of yourself. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Mahbub says detachment is so damn difficult.
Yeah, and I just want to add, something on Arnab. So Arnab is my good friend. So we both work in the same company. So there are a few things that we both are aligned with. So that is very obvious because we work at the same place. So I'm really happy for Arnab for his new book. So it seems very interesting. So I would definitely want to buy a copy of it and read Arnab. So it's really good that there's some when I was an upcoming author a few years before, I didn't have the people to support me. at the very beginning stages. So I got some inspiration from some of my good friends, and the way I have published my book in such an environment where there was more of friction and traction than support. But down the line, in the recent years, the situation has changed. There are people who are encouraging new authors, and there are good authors who are evolving. Like a few years before, the kind of situation that I had gone through. So I'm seeing the same thing happening with you. So I'm sure your concept is also a well recognized, good concept. So
Looks
I'm
like
really happy for
looks
it.
like we are finally in the right group. We are getting
Yeah,
encouraged.
that I understand that, I feel that. And this unique and thinking and thought process has evolved only from the moment, from last 2 to 3 years. But then I understand that the situation has completely changed, and the world is going on a different mode of thoughts. So I'm just surprised whether we had to live in the world of thoughts, in a thoughts driven world, is something that even I'm not sure of. So when you said about these illusions, and you feel that the characters in the movie, when you're watching the movie, the characters in the movie are talking to you live. So how is that happening? So I understand that there is there is an intersection of virtuality, reality, and thoughts. So that is where this kind of mixture of things is going on. So we still have to do a lot of research on that. But it's good to know that very few people understand this, observe this, and realize it and think on those grounds. So I'm really happy for that, and to be acquainted with you. I would definitely want to have another discussion with you.
Sure.
And we'll we are anyways in contact on mobile and WhatsApp.
Sure.
So yeah, that's
So,
what I just
Srilekha,
wanted
you
to
don't
say.
have any question, right?
Congratulations.
So there's no
I look
question.
forward to it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, yeah, Srilekha had a valid point as well. I think on the book side, I just wanted to ask another question to Arnav. Since we started about identity, self, and all that, there's also about free will. And Arnav talks free will also as an illusion.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Arnav, I would really like to kind of touch it up and give a very high level view. Why do you think free will also is an
Sure.
illusion? Just for
I know we are running late. I'll be very quick in answering that. See, free will is another topic where I'm very much interested in. In fact, the book Free Will by Sam Harris actually changed the way I look into things. Right? I mean, in the recent, I've read a lot about free will, and then it shaped me as a different person, so to say. What do I mean by when I say free will is an illusion? Right. Let me just quickly give you a brief about. I chose to come in this occasion, right, by my own choice. I said yes to this. I said yes, I'll come to this occasion. But then, did I really choose that choice? Right? Or if I say I made that choice, what am I talking about? What is this I? Where is it sitting? Is it the hand, my legs, my kidney, liver, heart, brain? Or is it the composite mixture of all that I'm calling as I? But mostly, it's only your 5% brain is conscious. What you call as I is just your 5% brain. The entire 95% is your subconscious mind. You're not ordering the production of your red blood cells in your body. You're not asking kidney how to function. It's all automated. Everything is automated in your body, right? And then the 5% conscious mind, which you claim to be yourself, you think that I is making that decision, isn't it? But then I'll give you an example from Dr. Libet, Benjamin Libet, right? It was a philosophical discussion throughout ages. right? It's only very recently, in the early 1980s, Dr. Libet made this philosophy as science. It's no longer philosophy. It's scientifically proven. You can read Dr. Benjamin Libet. He devised an experiment where he connected all the brain wires to the computer, and the subject was asked to choose a yes and no answer based on the, set that was designed. And then it was the activity that was there that was found in the person's motor cortex was recorded some 300 milliseconds before that person actually took that decision of saying a yes or no. So activity from the motor cortex is coming first before the person's conscious becoming, which is happening in the prefrontal cortex. Now 300 milliseconds is so fast that you almost think that you are making the decision, right? Your decision has been made by your entire subconscious mind. It's been presented to you. You simply carry it forward. You only can witness what has been presented to you, and you claim to be your decision. I mean, you think that this is my decision, because the 300 milliseconds is so fast for our brain to really comprehend it, right? So in that sense, and it's quite science right now. It's no more philosophy. I mean, free will, in fact, is an illusion. Do I have time for another 1 minute an explanation of maybe a quick experiment with all of you to really prove to you that what I'm saying is justified?
Okay.
Right. So let's say it's again from Sam Harris, one of his lectures. Let's say if I ask you to pick a name of a city, your favorite city, right? Pick a name of a city, right? Your favorite city. You got a name of a city in your head, right? Now let me ask you to hold to that thought and pick another city. It can't be the first one. Pick another city, right? And notice this experience. When you pick the second city name, did you observe any kind of free will expression there? Now, the thing is, suppose you had these three options of cities, right? Say you chose Paris, maybe London, maybe say Shanghai, right? Let's say first let's ignore, or let's remove all the city names that you don't know, and therefore you could not have picked, isn't it? Let's remove those city names that you don't know. And now let's look at all the city names that you already know, maybe hundreds of city names that you know, right? You cannot possibly claim that your brain right now, in a few seconds, laid down all the 100 names and you picked from it. You cannot claim that. You cannot do that. You don't have that neurons in your brain to possibly image that memory in front of you. So you are being handed over with few names by your subconscious brain. Now, you've got three names, say London, Paris, or, and Shanghai. Now you are claiming that from those three names, probably I have picked it up. Well, this is the sort of decision that motivates the idea of free will. You think that you're making this choice, right? Well, you might think that I chose Shanghai because I had Chinese food last night, right? Well, why didn't you pick Paris? Because you already had Chinese food. So why didn't you pick Paris? Because you might think that anyway, I had Chinese food. Let me ignore that and let me pick Paris, isn't it? So I don't know what comment that Mehboob made. It could be funny.
Ramja told her parents made our decisions. I was like telling that usually our parents made our decisions of career, right? Now you're saying that our subconscious make decisions. Really helpless here, it seems.
So the thing is, Lavanya, you making a separate decision that I am, right? Both our decision makings are different. It's just that your subconscious make and my make is completely different. We all are different individuals. We are stuck in our own shelf, right? Even though I want to become someone else, instinctively I will always act like me. That's what
that's totally true. Because when you asked me to pick, the first city I picked was Mumbai. Okay, in my mind. Now, Mumbai is a city I've grown up. And the second, I don't know, automatically it came Hyderabad. Of course, I didn't give a lot of thought. So yeah, I mean, our decisions are definitely influenced by what we are, what we went through our life. So in a way, yeah, you can say.
Do you know the next word you're going to say? Or the next sentence you're going to say? Because it's all appearing in your consciousness. Right? You're not designing it. It's coming to your consciousness. So
Right.
you can be the conscious witness of this thought.
I just want to add to what Lavanya said.
Yes, sir.
If you had not asked which is your second choice, probably would have not made.
True.
I can as well tell that my second choice is nothing. But we are giving some answer because just you asked.
Correct. Yes,
First
sir.
choice is always correct. First choice is made with the brain. Second choice is made because to answer your question, what is your second choice? So I think most of the time we actually, as Maria said, some experience influences. Sometimes it's a need based. Like when we are in the first job, in our generation, it is the need. My parents need to be supported. So I go for the engineering or the whatever is the first job. So there is no choice. But as we grow older and become more financially stable,
Yes.
our choices vary, and we try to do what
We
is
like.
really we are interested in. But earlier days, it is not the interest; it is the need. The need drives us. Later, the financial stability or whatever is satisfied life drives us to our interests. So I'm also trying to ask you in your book where I stand. Actually, I am myself confused now. If I look at the decisions I made, I don't say that I have made a decision. I entered into trouble and swam through that. So every time I go with some friend, like, so I bought a house because I went with my friend. He took me to show his house. But there I made a decision that I will also buy a house. But I didn't have money, but I took the decision. But later it became a reality that I owned the house, but I got the ways how to get it. And now, recently, all of you will be surprised. Someone asked me, do you have any friend who can make a movie, who can produce a movie? I have a good director, new director. But if you have seen my statuses recently, that person who asked me, then I look at my circle and I told the person that I don't have anybody who can be interested in making movie. Then I asked them, will it be okay if I produce a movie? That decision came on the spot. And today I completed 2 movies. I don't know where I stand here. So every time my decision is an answer for somebody's question, but it may be silly to take such a decision, but I'm complete. So I don't know whether it is, I purchased a piece of land. Somebody told, are you interested? I am buying. I said, okay, but I'm not prepared for that. So it's happening. So do we call it that I'm taking life as it comes, or after jumping in, I'm trying to make it a successful decision? I'm still confused.
See, sir, our the surroundings that you have, your the surrounding that you have brought in, and then your current neurological conditions, and your genetics, right, and also the random things that come to you in life. These are none of it is our choice. For instance, you are born, you came here, right? We say we have come here. You did not choose your location of birth. You did not choose your gender. You did not choose your blood group. You did not choose your DNA. It was all given to you, isn't it? And therefore, you and me are different. Even though we are in the same world, we all have different circumstances, different genetics, different environment. And the moment you go ahead in life, in each moment, it shapes you. But none of it is your choice. I mean, it's all happening to you. I mean, you might claim that I have made this decision, but then those decisions are a result of the prior causes. You can link it back to all your prior causes, moment by moment. If you look at none of it, it was always presented to you. Srinivas sir will always be Srinivas sir. you will never become Arnab, and the same case goes with me. And therefore, we are both two different individuals. The decision that you took of buying the house, right? I would not have made that decision because I was not you. But if you replace me atom by atom, I would be you. Maybe that's the short answer for it, Lavanya, in the interest of time.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of
So this book is raising a lot of like questions.
Questions. That's right.
Right. The answer
I'm happy to take the next
probably
question.
make us more mature soon, and once we go through the book.
Okay, on behalf of Lavanya, because there's a lot of noise near her area, and not out of my free will, I'm asking this question. I understand, Arnab, that your main area of focus on all these topics is finally to relate with corporate well-being.
Right.
But what do you think is the main cause of corporate mental illness? Right here, we can see that you are a consultant. Dr. Maria advises executives. We have such wonderful people everywhere. But then this spread, or the what do you call, but we're seeing this depression and mental illness in the corporate sector too, who I think are quite well-to-do people. And this dichotomy we can't explain. And I was even wonderstruck by Dr. Maria's statement that they are wonderful corporate executives taking fantastic decisions for their business, but they're making hopelessly stupid decisions in their relationships and personal life. So, your thoughts on corporate mental illness, please? Yeah.
Sure. See, I am in the corporate sphere, and I'm seeing an increase of these activities recently. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got interest in writing so much about corporate psychology. It seems that, I mean, let me give you a quick example. Suppose someone is in a meeting, right? And I'll come back to your question about the diversity of our experience of how we feel about in the corporate life, and then in the personal life we are making something else, some other decisions, shaping us differently, right? I'll come back to this question. First of all, let me start with an example. You're sitting in a meeting, and then, right, you have been asked to take a decision instantly, right? The mistake that we do, I have seen in many consultants doing the same mistake every time. They tend to respond to those queries rather quite instantly. It's more of a reaction to those. We react to life very quickly. Rather than responding, we rely on our instinctive reactions. I think this is one of the major cause of we going in the wrong track. I mean, this prediction nature is really built into us, as in all lives. This nature of prediction is really built into us. So let me give you an example of a cheetah, right? Hunting for going after a deer. He wants to hunt a deer obviously for his survival, to eat, right? A cheetah trying to chase a deer. Now, every moment, every second, the cheetah's brain is making calculations, right? Because the deer can move in any direction. It's basically playing all the physics. It's basically trying to predict, right? Because that prediction is actually going to make sure is going to make sure of the survival of the cheetah. Right? Prediction is built into us. But then when it comes to a conscious living life, we tend to use that same instinctive behavior. We are social animals. We do have a lot of time to decide. You don't need to be instinctively acting all the time. That's what I call out. I've given a few examples in the book that, yeah, of course, you trust on your instincts, but think about it. Trust on your instincts, talk to yourself, Just think about what you're going to say next, right? Rather than just saying it, pause. Probably in a meeting, you can buy some time. You can say, right, you asked the right question. Probably I don't have the resources to answer it right now. So let me get back to you. You always have that option to buy time. You're not hunting a deer, right? We are social species, we're social animals. We can actually, for the first time, it's only human beings can actually go in the right direction. We don't need to end up being an extinct species. We don't need to rely on instinctive behaviors. We can pause, hold, think about it, and then respond to it rather than reacting to a situation, respond to a situation. And that thought process only comes when you silence your mind, right? Well, how to silence your mind is in the way of, you know, doing the right meditation practices.
That sounds a little bit like system two thinking. Harshita, what do you say? What Arnab is saying? Harshita? I think she is not uh, uh, coming online. I have a slightly, what do you say, adjacent or auxiliary question here.
Mhm.
We are not having pure free will, so corporates are susceptible, and free will is due to prior causes and all. Now, isn't that a bit problematic when we consider justice and the criminals? A
Right.
criminal can say, my subconscious, or his lawyer or her lawyer can say that he or she is not acting out of free will, the subconscious something act upon, so what do we do? Punish nobody?
Yes, it's a very important question, Mahmood, Sarah. What you have just called out is a very, very important question. If we are not acting out of free will, then simply release all the criminals, isn't it? Well, it seems like that. But then let's look at a few cases. I can give you one quick example of a real case, not to name any patient here. A 25 years old man murdered a young woman, right? That particular man was actually brought up in a very well-to-do family. You know, he was happily brought up. You know, his all his surroundings was quite good in terms of what you can get as a very good and happy family. So his bringing up was good. He had what I wanted to say is his life went on pretty well until the age of 25. And at the age of 25, he simply murdered a woman. And when he was taken into custody, and he said he just did it just for the fun of it. And later on in the investigation, they found you know, a kind of a tumor the size of a golf ball in his prefrontal cortex. And then they operated that tumor from the brain, and then the person became normal again, right? Every criminal that we are treating, be it a crime of murder or any small crime, say any other smaller crimes, we probably have this micro tumor like elements in our brain that present technology cannot detect. Otherwise, how will you perform as a good human being, and why will not I perform as a good human being? Why there has to be a difference? There is some differences in our brains. Why these brains are different? This is not our choice. So all I'm saying is, even though you are a murderer, you are not a criminal. You are rather a patient, which is not treatable.
A victim yourself, the criminal is also a victim himself in a way, sort of.
Every one of us are victim. We are bound by this shelf. We are not choosing anything. Now, if you can say that, okay, then release all the criminals. We cannot release all the criminals because they will go out and probably murder some other people, right? We need to contain them in the cell. We need to contain them in the cell. But then my perspective is, don't look at that person with hatredness.
Okay.
Look at them with sympathy. And why I'm saying this is because if you look at them with sympathy, before that you have to understand that free will is an illusion, and then only after educating everyone, we all agree that those are not criminals, those are inside the cell, but you're looking at them in sympathetic view. What will happen is, it will help us to get enough funding to do research the brain science in the areas of brain science and further our researches to to come to a day when you take a pill, just like you take a pill for vitamin D and you get a cure for evil. That day is not very far, but then that to happen we need to change our perspective. So how we look at people. There are evil in the society. I'm not saying everyone is good. Everyone fundamentally is good is a different psychology. Many psychologists believe there is fundamentally people are good. I'm not saying that. There are evil in society.
That's a bit scary, Arnab, because I know that medical tests are not foolproof. There are positive, false positives, and those kind of things. So if some medicine tells me I'm bound to be a criminal, that I mean, as a bit scary thought. If a medicine predicts that I cannot be a criminal.
Well, the thing is, our medical science is really not advanced enough to detect anything and can tell anything about us.
Okay.
As Dr. Maria said, we are constantly changing, right? Because of our experiences and feelings, how we feel about things, we are constantly changing. At any particular moment, you cannot identify what you are, right? But what you will become is also a question because we don't know, because so much of randomness ahead of us. But then at this particular moment, if you're identified as a criminal, then you shouldn't be jailed with hatredness. You should be jailed if you're caught as a criminal, right? Let's not discuss detectives, finding yourself, that's a movie, right? From I guess Tom Hanks or someone's movie. They were detecting, criminal activities before they actually happened. But let's not go there. It's completely science fiction. But I'm trying to change the perspective of people. If you have the fresh perspective of looking at people with sympathy, even the cruelest criminals, things will change for better.
It's a very different perspective, Arnab, and I hope maybe we got your answer. But I mean, these topics are so dense that it kind of warrants a lot of discussion, processing different perspectives, keep open-mindedness to it. But let's come back and talk about the book. So much of philosophy, like as all this, I'm pretty much sure that everybody else too has observed this, that part 2 is very dense and it warrants a lot of thinking. So, don't you think that too much of philosophy might complicate the understanding of the readers who are probably looking to find simple answers to their inward journey? What do you have to say about that?
Right. See, I understand too much philosophy in this particular book, volume 2. It's supposed to be a corporate book, but I included a lot of philosophy in it. The reason is simple, Lavanya. There are a lot of best-selling books in the market. They are aimed at giving you, free tips. I mean, ready-made tips. Do this, you will get this results. Almost like they are preparing it for you, and you just need to eat it. The thing is, I mean, those books are helpful. I'm not saying that. There are bestsellers. There are scientists who are helping us. Changing the way we think and all that stuff. But then they're giving us ready-made answers. They're helpful temporarily. My take here is a little bit different. I want people, the corporate people, to understand this science. That's the only difference. If you see the volume 2, it talks a lot about science. Now, in volume 3, I talk a lot about the solutions. But then I don't want to give you the solutions without telling you the science behind it. That was the purpose. Now, you will say there's too much of philosophy. Don't take it as too much of philosophy. Understand this science, because that's a permanent fix. Those other books that are giving you are ready-made solutions that probably you can use it. But then the next moment you are going to change, and then those tricks are not going to be useful enough for you. Again, you need to read more books.
Sure.
So instead of reading more books, read one book, understand the core of the reasons behind it all, and then you get the solutions yourself.
And to really understand something, I think it's best that you read the nature and science behind it. That's how is a
Correct.
true way of reforming yourself. So I get that point now after you have explained it. So is there any separate marketing plan or strategy that you are thinking about volume 2 to kind of place it uniquely in the self-help section or any other section that you think is apt for these books?
See, in terms of marketing, I think those who have already bought the book, I think I'm going to give it give the volume 2 in a much cheaper price. So that I retain the customers.
That's very nice.
And again, on a serious note, I actually am speaking to colleges, which is my main target. My engineering college, where I did my engineering degree, and I'm in touch with the with the HOD there, and he's helping me to circulate quite a lot of copies to the students. Even before they come out to this world in this corporate sphere, they will eventually come out and work for corporate. So even before they do it, they understand what is coming in their way, right? So that's the very good place where I can see. I don't want to become a huge bestseller or something. My intention is to target a core area. I want to fix something in the society, and this is kind of counterintuitive way of fixing things. Not a lot of people will agree to it, but let's try this way. Why not?
That's excellent, very inspiring. So I have been drilling your brains for almost an hour, asking questions and questions. Now I think I should pass on this to the audience. So guys, anybody who wants to take a poke at Arnab's brain, please. I know
I
I
like
haven't.
questions, by the way. I'm very fond of taking questions. I can do it for whole night if you like.
So, any questions from the audience?
So why don't we start with Murli sir? Seniority.
Murli sir?
I made a good relationship with Murli sir at the back, so I hope he will not take me down here.
Murli sir, you want to ask Arnab any question, or have you already asked all the questions and he clarified before this?
I think that's why he's not.
Right, and those who are acquaintance flash friends,
Even Harshit, I think.
Ranja Joy Roy Chaudhary, Sushant Ganguly, Megha, Sujini. Go ahead and shoot your questions to Arnab.
So hey Arnab, Sushant here. Congratulations on your second book.
Sushant, could you switch on your camera if you don't mind? If
not a very good state. Anyways, I'll try it. Yeah. Hey Arnab.
Oh, you look
super. You look super. Yeah.
Sorry, you'll not recognize me after so many years. Yeah.
We actually sit together. Yeah.
Yeah. So Arnab, congrats on your second book, and
catch up with you later on just what happened to you. Okay. Anyways, go on.
Sure, I'll need your help definitely for that. I understand your book is on that lines. We'll talk on those. Just a small question here, Arnab. I know you had a lot of understanding about our human beings. We come with something when it comes to this world, right? We have something which we are predisposed with. We act on those lines, right? So you not even know the same situation comes to you, you'll be handling in a different way, right? The primal instincts are yours. So the question is, are you predisposed to something? Is there any psychology behind it which can resolve? Not in a book. I'm just talking about in lines you might have read through or going through. Is there some things that we are inclined towards and we can remove those obstacles from my set?
Good question. See, as you said, we are predisposed to certain things. This is what it is. I mean, if someone claims there is a solution to the problem that you are in right now, it'll be false. To be very honest with you, the hard truth is, wherever you are, Shashank, wherever I am, or wherever Murli sir is, wherever Mahmood sir is, wherever Srinivas sir is, we all are in our shells. We all are leading a predisposed. We are just playing with the predisposed elements given to us. Right? The predisposed things are playing with the randomness, and we are moving forward in life. Now you can say, I can make a consistent, intentional effort in solving it. You can say that, but that consistent, intentional effort will again come because of the prior causes. which of you is your brain is typically cannot comprehend in that moment. Now the thing is, there's a beautiful thing in psychology. Even I think Dr. Maria will agree. If you meditate, right? If you meditate, a lot of things fall in place. Simply by meditation, it changes your brain. Now, obviously, brain is changing all the time. It changes your brain in a certain way that you actually move toward a positive direction in life. What it does is, when you meditate, it silences your mind. You can see things more clearly now. The decisions that you're making right now will change hugely in a different way, right? The decision that you're doing right and taking right now without meditation, right? I mean, you are in the midst of everything, right? You are surrounded with your family, kids, your colleagues, so many stuff going on with you. How can you possibly make a decision properly? But if you meditate, it gives you more clarity, and then it feels like by doing meditation, your life is suddenly going in a positive direction. I think meditation is the solution for it. It's a very vague way of saying it, but then this is it. There is no quick fix to it. Meditation is the solution, but there are tricks of meditation. Don't just meditate, right? There is an app called Waking Up. You can install that app. It's from a neuroscientist, Sam Harris. It's a paid app. So if you really want to do meditation correctly, follow the neuroscientist's way of meditation. Don't just follow a Baba or Sadhu. Don't do it. They are talking from their experience. They are not foolproof correct. Follow the scientists. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
May I make a comment?
Sure, Maria.
Okay. So if I get it, what you're trying to do is that there are quick decisions in business settings that lead to lots of problems. And you're advocating for pausing in making a decisions. And you don't have to react, you can respond. React means, like knee-jerk reactions. You get questions and you answer, and sometimes the answer is not always the right answer. And then you have to backtracking. I think that's really great ideas or thesis or even practice. The problem is now we're looking at the culture of the business. I don't know much about in India or elsewhere, but all I know in the US, if you tell your boss that I'm going to come back to you with the answer tomorrow or a few days from now, that's the quickest way of getting replaced. So, because another person would say, I have the answer. And then everything in here are really fast paced. We are told to make a decision right here, right now. And then the decision making has to seem like very decisive. So you're always on guard with knowledge, right? You have all these things that you need to know. If you're in sales selling water, you better have enough knowledge about water, about the things you sell. So when your boss asking you to do certain thing or certain question, you can respond right away. And so then now I will go into the thing that I'm trying to make. First of all, I think you should be a bestseller. I think you should strive for being a bestseller. I don't think you just want to settle to make change in a small corner somewhere. I disagree with that, because you have an amazing thesis here, an amazing idea. The only thing that I find is that it is really broad. So if you can put it in but then again, you will almost fall into the same thing as the very books that you criticize. That like if you have a solution, they're not permanent. Your book will be permanent solutions. The problem is the buyers or the readers are not necessarily ready to read that many things. And I really get what you're saying. this philosophy and religions and ourselves, they all compounded in us. But I think maybe because I have not read your book that I'm having hard time to grasp and how it is. What can I do with it? That's the bottom line. What can I do with it other than, okay, I need to pause. I don't have to go to answer the question right away. Or I don't have to do the things right away. And then again, the problem is depend where you are and depend on what culture you are in. Because in executive culture in America, if you even pause, they assume you don't know your materials. And that creates another problems, and so that's one of the things that we are confronted with, like the idea, the study on confidence. The confidence person is a person who is like able to make a decision, but that's Americans' idea. In Asia, for instance, in Indonesia, probably someone who pause and think for a moment, but then again, depend on where in Indonesia, because in the culture of business in America, they copying the American business culture. So so then now we're facing into this business culture that fast-paced decision making right here, right now. You better know what you're doing. You can't. This is your job. You tell me what we need to do right here, right at this very moment.
Correct.
And what you're advocating is you don't have to do that. But then if you don't have to do that, then
you lose your job.
That's right.
Sure, I mean, completely in agreement with you, what you're saying, Maria. What I've done is I've taken a 2-step back, and I'm more interested in the fundamentals of it. Obviously, there are 4 salespeople in a meeting. Whoever responds quick, plus whoever responds with knowledge gets the sales. But then, before you even reach there, I'm training the people who are getting into corporate sphere for the first time. Probably in the first instance, you will have a longer gap, right? Maybe a day. Maybe with practice, you will have a smaller gap, maybe a few hours, and then you will be probably momentarily answer quite instantly in the meetings. It comes with practice. So I've seen many consultants. Whenever you ask him a question, obviously the heart will start to pound at a higher rate by hearing the question, isn't it? It's quite natural. Wait for your heart pounding to stop, or not to stop entirely, but to slow down, so that you get a grip of yourself first. The mistakes what people are doing is they tend to respond very quickly, and therefore they make the mistakes. I'm talking about those people who are getting into this corporate space, quite new youngsters. In order for you to become a true professional, answering every question in quite instantly, you'll have to climb the stairs. I'm just building the fundamentals of it. But then these tricks, whenever they learn it, they no longer need to pause it in their life, because they have paused enough, and now they have learned to control their heart pounding. But at the same time, Maria, I'm also agree they need to do your background research. You need to be knowledgeable. You need to know what you're talking about, because just having confidence doesn't going to give you the sales. You need to know what you're making. For instance, water bottles. You need to know about it 100%. Do your homework. That itself can make you speak quickly. But yes, thank you very much.
And Arnab, there was a part of the question Dr. Maria asked that it sounds very dense, the philosophy, psychology of what we have heard so far, that the book might be a bit dense for an ordinary reader, and we are looking for simple answers towards
I thought so.
our internet journey. But I kind of echo Dr. Maria's statements, which she made in the middle of her question. Aren't you complicating things for people other than simplifying?
That is the reason for these volumes. I would have done it in one book, right? I agree that Dr. Maria is saying target for becoming a bestseller, target the entire market. I probably will eventually do that. right now very much interested in getting it to the college students. um, that is the space that people are in already in the academic level want to get into science, right? Not like the normal people. The volume one is quite interesting in that respect, that I haven't discussed a lot of science there. Volume one is quite light-hearted. So I already have a customer base there. It's all about retaining that customer base and training those people about volume two. I know volume two is going to be super tough for normal people to understand. I mean, I know you have read the book, my book, so I can say that. But then, assuring you, it will be a lot easier to find the solutions in volume three if you really go and read volume two. And this can only happen, the starting journey can happen from the college, college level, because they are the people already reading, they're already in an academic mode. They would like to get a grip of the science, and not easy solutions. That's what I think, and that's what typically is working so far.
I don't know the sound levels where Lavanya is located right now.
Lot of
Can you go on to the next? I mean, Arnav has given a heads up about volume three.
yes.
So give us a little elevator pitch about your third volume, Arnav.
Yes. So volume three, solutions that are provided in volume three are going to be quite radical, right? You probably won't like the solutions. You will think that, how will this work? And therefore, you need to read volume two. Because if I straight away discuss the solutions of volume three, it's quite radical, right? And I'm not claiming that I have come up with all of these myself. No, no. There are bits and pieces everywhere in the market. Nothing is my original here. I have not invented a new thing here. It's all there in the market. The compilation is very good, I must say, because of few of the comments from my peer readers.
So one quick question before I forget: how did you split the topics between the three volumes, and can I read anyone in a standalone mode, or did you have to read it as a sequence to get the whole picture? Like
Sequence is essential.
Okay.
I know. I mean, even though you don't go by the sequence, you can go read volume two first and volume one second, but don't read volume three first. At least not that, because volume three will sound what it is. What is this? What is it talking about?
Okay.
Because I've laid the foundation in the first two volumes.
Right. So how did you split? How did you split between volume one and two? Like volume one is a gentle introduction without philosophy and psychology, like work-life balance and those kind of things that we relate to. Then you slightly take us deeper in volume two, and then get the solutions in volume three. Is that how you did it?
Yeah, volume one, I discuss all the major challenges in the corporate sphere. And I also mention that in the volume two, we will go into the key areas of the mind and the self, because that's the main hitch, that's the main hitch. That is the reason why you're not attaining what you're desiring to attain. So I already called it out in volume one that we will be exploring the mind enough,
Right.
to it's like a volume two is more like a preparing your mindset so that you can accept the solutions provided in volume three for the questions raised in volume one. So they are interconnected. It's like volume one is like more of challenge discussion. Volume two is more of preparing your mindset. Volume three is more of giving out the solution so that you can accept it.
Right. I think that's very nice way of sequencing it, because you don't want to hit readers with free will and
Yes.
the illusion of self right in volume one, and then bring them to the reality. So I think this seems to the proper sequence. So now our interest is more peaked, and I really look forward to the third volume of November eagerly. And in the meanwhile, I noticed Muralidharan sir had switched his camera on. Murali sir, we were waiting to for you to interact with Arnab or ask a question. Do you want to go?
So not exactly a question, but because it's going to be a series, I think As you put it, the third one is connected with the first one, and there is continuity and all that. But one thing I will, from the layman points of view, because uh, I'm not in the job anymore. I'm doing something of my choices. But still, nonetheless, I get to talk to my daughter and sometimes to my son and many other youth. So I understand the scenario, job scenario, and balancing the job and the life and all that. But still, one thing as a layman, I will say that there are many books on this particular track, particular topic in the market. Of course, there is need. I told in the review also. But my suggestion, or what I will say, that my suggestion will be that Mr. Dasgupta must, hopefully he has seen that it stands out compared to other books, and I think the this area calls for the reviews of professionals like in the areas of psychology, in HR, and in stress management and counseling and all that. And I'm sure that Mr. Dasgupta is seized of all that. And my best wishes to you. I'm not having any specific question.
Thank you very much, sir. And then
I think there is an inherent question there, Murli sir's statement that what is your USP? He didn't say in so many words. He's just saying, I hope your book stands out. So I would like to rephrase what he said. Why do you think, or how do you think your book will stand out in the bookshelf?
I think the USP of this book is it's more about the recognition of the illusions, the common illusions that we ignore in our day-to-day life, right? That is that is my selling proposition. I mean, I want to cure a particular corner that we are always missing out on, and that seems to be the highest selling proposition for me.
And how do you react to this is again taking off from Dr. Maria's statement that this doesn't sound like a global book. You didn't really actually target the global audience, right? Because if you're saying that, if you're saying I gather that you are looking at students and those are entering early corporate careerists and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But when you write a book, you normally write a book in keeping in mind the audience of your immediate region, maybe Southeast Asia, Australia, or something in mind. Or did you deliberately have a? Do you think it will work for a global readership?
It is actually released globally, all over the world. And the platform of Amazon is quite clear. The UAE market, someone else is helping me out because Amazon doesn't cover that area. I am releasing it, worldwide, and then corporate people entering corporate and the academic people, the students, the college students, not specifically India, but all over. That community will benefit all over the world. So corporate is global. So I am targeting that specific. See, this book can also be read by a homemaker. It's not. You're not bound to be a corporate employee. But then, if you want to give me a choice of who you want to rank first, I would say corporate guys. I'm a first target, and then the remaining. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, to globalize it, maybe Murli sir should translate your books into Tamil.
Oh, that'll be a genius. That happens. But my book should go to that level.
Murli sir is
yeah.
Murli sir is a retired corporatee. His son is now in Deloitte and all. But I think he must be thinking sometimes, I wish I had this book when I was in the corporate. Nahin, Murli sir? What do you say? No, you're on mute.
Can't hear you. You are on mute.
Sir, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. To be precise, I was in government sector, but for 2 years I worked in IT environment in our own organization. So then I had the first-hand experience of how IT works and what are the issues and all that. I certainly, one thing I think I have mentioned the review also, he is very empathetic. Actually, he wants to share because he understands how the prime years are actually killing years. Whether you go for the kill, that is going to kill you. That is the situation now. So certainly, of course,
True.
I in corporate, in the government sector, I had my own experiences, and that may not be useful for others. So I could manage, but I certainly understand his empathy and his reaching out. Only my wish is that it must stand out. That's all.
It
Yeah.
will,
Thank
it
you.
will. And like Dr. Maria is saying, Arnab should aim for the skies, and he will. So with volume 3, I think we'll have a great book completed in 3 parts. And I don't know if anybody wants to say something here among those who haven't said. Sushant, Megha, Sujani. Srilek has already said, but in terms of parting thoughts, because we should close it over.
Hello.
Yeah, Megha.
Hello. I have a question for Arnav.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Megha. Please ask your question.
Yes. 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 Hi, Arnav.
Hello, Megha. How are you?
Good. Thanks. Okay. First, I want to congratulate you for your second volume.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, you talked a lot about the illusions of the self and the free will. Lavanya also coined that point. Okay, if nothing is happening according to our own free will, then who is controlling our actions? You also told about the subconscious mind. Okay, I understood. But do you believe in a supernatural power, an almighty or a god?
Well, see, I know this question of free will never end, but let me try to fix it with a final answer, maybe. Short and simple answer. See, it looks automated, right? It is automated. It looks like, as you're saying, because free will is an illusion, as I said, it is automated, which means it is automated. What do you mean by automation? So if your system is automated, it means no one need to touch it, right? Because it is automated. So believing a supernatural entity taking part in it, does not ring the bell, because you don't need anyone's intervention. You are actually automated. Because I'm saying no one is doing it, that doesn't mean that I'm saying someone is doing it. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me religious here. I'm talking from a scientific point of view, right? The other question that you made about my personal belief, it's a personal question, right? Believing in a certain entity, cures you in a certain way. The religion is considered to be a natural antidepressant, but that doesn't necessarily mean that something exists there, right? It's a question of seeking. I am more of a seeker. I'm open to, reading and understanding, the work and how things work. It's more about how things work that I'm interested in. The thing that you're asking is about why thing works. That's a theological question. I'm more interested in the scientific questions. But I would say, just because you don't have free will is stated to be an illusion, that doesn't mean someone else is controlling it. Don't get me wrong here. Don't change my propaganda that I'm going to be a religious leader or something. No. In fact, I'm saying, because this is automated, that itself means that nothing is controlling it. Something could have started it, but it no longer participates in it. Probably, this is my wildest scientific guess. Something may have started it. It's just watching it. It no longer takes part in it. That's what I think, but I'm not sure. My short answer to your question will be, if you ask me, I will say I am not sure. I don't know. I probably will seek for it, and I'll probably come up with an answer. Maybe human beings will someday come up with an answer. At this moment, science says I know or I don't know. Science is not about believing in anything. Science is about either I know it or I don't know it.
Okay.
Believing is not science. So I don't believe in anything, not even scientific ideas, if not proven or justified. Thank you. I hope I answered your question and not hurt anyone's sentiment here.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then. Anyone has any more questions? Okay. I think everybody needs some time to process all that we have discussed here today. So it was definitely a dense discussion, and I know we all need that pause to think. Okay. So I think with that good parting note, I guess everybody's interest is peaked for the third volume and to see what solutions you're offering in that. So do buy this book, and I hope happy reading. I've already read it, and I know based on my reading, I had framed these questions today. So it will be the same for you, for whoever reads it, because it will keep you on thinking more, and you would want to find more and more or talk more and more about it. And we have the link also on the chat, so you can just make a note of it, and we'll anyway share later in the Hydro group the link to the book. So Arnab, all the best for your second and also for the upcoming third volume. And as Maria said, and I also wish that you aim for the skies, don't limit yourself. I think all the people here in different words have already said that the book has a lot of potential and it is already standing out in its own different way. So all the best to you.
Thank you very much, Lavanya. On this, just to add on your departing note, you are like Murli sir, Mahbub sir, everyone. I mean, there are a lot of senior people here who can help me with, like you said, how are you staging it to make it a bestseller? Dr. Maria said, don't really target a corner, target the entire. These are actually helpful statements, and I am actually learning from it. And who knows, probably in the third volume, I'll tweak something that will incorporate all these ideas. So thank you very much. This is helping out for me. So thank you so very much.
Well, thank you.
So thank you everyone for participating in the discussion and making this a lovely, wonderful evening. So on that note, very good evening to all of you.
Many congratulations, Arnab. Sorry I couldn't, come up with any questions. This is my very first joining, and I haven't.
Sujani, don't you mind switching your camera or? Otherwise, people will think some bot or some alien is talking, right?
No.
Oh, okay. Good to see you after 2-3 years. Yeah.
After 2-3 years, yes.
How are you?
I'm good. Hope
Okay.
everyone is doing good.
Yeah, I mean, we are not drowning like Bangalore, but so we are doing good. Your Bangalore is sinking and drowning. Okay, go ahead and tell me.
Now we are back to normal.
Okay, your comments to...
many congratulations, Arnab. I couldn't really come up with any questions. I was just observing and listening all of them, and I understood that the book has very good potential, and I'm sure let me read it first, and I have to go back to your first volume as well before stepping to second one, and then probably I'll come up with few questions.
Sure. I mean, you showing up, to these events is itself a big honor because people are showing up and asking questions. Thank you very much. That was the intention. But please do read the volume. You'll like it.
Sure.
So Sujani, in volume 3 launch, you can ask questions on volume 1, 2, and 3. A special opportunity given only to you. Okay?
Yes. Of course, I'm going to do that.
That's a deal. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right then. Good night.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Bye.
All right.
Best
Thank you very
wishes,
much, everyone.
everybody. Best wishes.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Take care.
Dr. Maria.
Thank you.